All right, howdy everybody. We are here. Thanks for your patience. Just had to wait a little bit in order to do that. So we're doing something new here, Larry.
We are, and let me tell you, it's painful. Did you already do the hey? Portal?
No, we haven't done the hey.
Okay, I'm
the brandt.
I'm Larry. This is Step Into the Portal. Like and subscribe, yada yada.
We're here at the Portal, which is our local FLGS in Manchester, Connecticut. So hence the name Step Into the Portal. If you haven't checked out our channel before,
but I'm excited for this.
Yeah,
and I'm also in pain over this. And a quick aside, those that don't know, I mean, I wear the shirts all the time. I coach, and
hey Brian.
There's only one. Hey Brian, there's only one sport I coach. I have to cut kids, and it's volleyball, and it hurts. I mean, I lose sleep at night cutting kids, and it's an awful feeling.
Oh, I know where you're going with
this. And all of a sudden, I started getting this awful feeling removing games in this top 10 list because I'm like, I had like 22 that I was feeling really good about, and then I wanted to call Brandt, like I might call my AD to say, so what if it's a top 22 list?
Yeah.
You know. So that just brought back some pain. Like, it is not as easy. You know, we see some of these great guys like Z and Sam and Tom and others doing like these top 10 lists, and we think, to throw a top 10 list together, it's easy. It's hard. It's really hard. And I think what Brandt and I wanted to do, and we evolved it a little bit as we talked, is we kind of made our own house rules as to how this was working. And our house rules might be slightly different. My house rule simply is I had to own the games I put on the list, because in my opinion, if I'm going to say you might have missed these games, if I didn't buy it, clearly you didn't miss it. Right. So for me, I had to own it. I stayed out of the top 300, technically out of the top 400. I think my lowest ranked game is like 431. And for me, I think Brandt I won't speak for you, but I think you were like the excellent, great, amazing games where I think I got half that are great and amazing and half that are really good but ranked so low you must have missed them because they're ranked so low and they really should have been higher. So I kind of got to have a mix of that, like the differential of how good a game is to where it's ranked versus, you know, it's an amazing game. I have a few amazing games and a few that are just, how the heck is this game ranked this low?
We didn't come up with a perfect criteria between us. I think it works out as a pretty good list. Originally, my idea was 3 years old, higher than 500 on BGG. But, of course, that's just arbitrary.
Right.
But my original intent, and Larry was good about kind of changing the name, my original idea was to do top 10 games you might want to go back and play, or you should go back and play. But that sounded like, oh, you've played it before, play it again, and you might find something. And I wanted it to be like, no, these are games, like a lot of people like to call them hidden gems, but like these are games that didn't get a lot that I think it's worth going back and finding a copy and playing it. Now, I will tell you that I wouldn't suggest if some of these games were out of print and they come in at like triple their MSRP, I don't think they're worth it.
Go buy them!
But at their MSRP or slightly above because they're out of print, I tried to mostly find games that were in print, but it's a little bit hard to guarantee something's in print and whatnot. So that's my idea. But yeah, I wanted 10 amazing games. Like, these are games that I don't find enough people talk about. It's hard to say no one talks about because that's a little self-centered, right, to think you know a game that nobody else likes.
Right, and I'll be honest with you, and this is going to sound so stupid because here I am on a live stream in the media universe of board games, but I am not that guy to do a lot of research. So to me, if I don't see it talked about in the store, at conventions, or if you're not bringing it up to me like, oh my God, I just heard this guy talk, right? So to me, I might have a game on here that you say, oh, that's relatively spoken about, but I haven't noticed it, you know?
Right.
And the other thing that I think was interesting in this whole thing, and you know, if this goes well, Brian, if you like this list or this stream, I'm really interested in doing something like what was lost in COVID, you know, because a lot of the games that I wanted to put on this list were 2020 games or late 2019 games. And it's like, why is this game ranked so low? It's so good. And then I realized, oh, it came out during COVID.
Yeah.
Which means it didn't have convention support. It didn't have community support. So so that might be a future thing we do.
Yeah, that would be neat for a list because we did our top 10 of 2020. But if you said games that would have benefited, like to me, I always talk about Isle of Cats that would have just benefited from conventions so much because that's a game that would have, it wasn't necessarily a top 10 game of 2020 for me, but it would have done so well.
That would have been a game.
It would have been on constant play.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a potential future. But for now, we got the top 10 games you might have missed.
Yeah, so these are games that I think that is worth your time and effort to find somebody else, go to a convention, find somebody else who owns it, or purchase the game and go back and play it. This is a really, really good game. I like them a lot. I have some caveats in terms of, like, I picked games that might be in a certain niche. I tend to be more of an omni gamer. So I kind of did, like, my list goes from 10 is like, well, this is just some people who I know would really enjoy this, down to, like, this is the game everybody should play.
And I think I have an honorable mention too.
And I have 2.
I have 10. Remember, I wanted to, but those we'll do at the end. The honorable mentions.
Well, the other thing I was going to mention is we're not fancy like some people do graphics and all that. We have the physical games.
Correct. This
so
is live.
We're going to be
editing.
moving and bringing the physical games in, because I do think what Larry said, we should own the game. And so that actually pushed one game that I thought I owned off the list.
Is it the one I sent you a picture of?
Yeah.
You could buy it at the store?
Yeah,
we're going to see if your money in your mouth is and you buy that game.
So I totally should buy that game, but I'll put it on my honorable mention since I don't actually... I thought I owned it. I think, you know what I actually did is this sounds really funny. I gave it away to somebody.
That you thought would really
and he lives in another country.
I know what you're talking
that
about.
guy. I gave him stacks and stacks of games. So anyway, and I gave him this game. So, all right, go ahead and hit us with your games, and then I'll do my honorable mentions here. Or hit us with your honorable.
We're going to do, okay, time out.
Wait, are you going to do all of your honorable mentions?
No, we're going to go 10, 10, 9, 9, 8.
And then you're doing all your honorable mentions?
End. Or do you want to do honorable mentions at the
beginning? I'm going to do mine at the beginning. You can do yours at the end.
Well, we got them the same. We got to have some.
No, I'm going to do mine now.
All right, well, I'll do mine. No, do you want the boxes for the honorable mentions too?
Oh, is that what you want?
No, I thought we were just going to mention
I don't think you need the boxes. Sorry, I have the boxes.
Well, I do too.
Let me do mine first.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so we have no... Yeah. So, Fleet the Dice Game... I knew I couldn't put on the list. So if people know me, if you listen to the podcast, if you've been to a convention and played a game with me, you know I basically herald this game. This game is phenomenal. This would be number 1 on the list, but I felt like I talk about this game so much that I couldn't really put it on the list. Again, we're not that big of a channel, or we're not that big of a podcast, but still, there are so many industry people, including...
You've played it with,
including
everybody.
Isaac Childress, designer of Gloomhaven, who now knows this game because of me. So this game is phenomenal, but I couldn't put it on the list. And then the other one...
I just want to be clear. Brandt did not like rolling rights, and I did introduce him to that game.
And then the other one, you can buy at our store right now.
Wait, is that...
LP, Larry Plano, is selling one of the games. This is the one I realized I don't own. But yeah, I gave this away to somebody, and that's why I actually don't own it. So that's kind of a weird one. Oh, yeah, we'll take turns from 10 to 1 for sure. But World's Fair 1893, there's actually a new version that came out, too, in terms of all that, that they have as well. So are you going to show all of yours?
Yeah, well, hey, if you're showing them, I'm showing them.
Okay, I'm just doing 2. So anyway, I don't know why Larry's selling this game. I think it's amazing. I would say this is a great gateway or welcoming game, if you want to use that term, and great family game. And Larry's not welcoming, nor does his family play games with him. So
well, I
that's
think...
probably...
Well, no,
that game is amazing. It's almost the game I think of when I think of
That's
this
a great game. It's just I played it enough that I just...
Yours are all on.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. Okay, so unlike Brandt, I got a little more detail for you. So I'm going to just quickly go through my honorable mentions. And some of these are honorable mentions because they might have been ranked high enough that I'm like, oh, people must know about them. So this is Skull King. It is my favorite... trick-taking game by Grandpa Bet Games. It is ranked 531, and it was done in 2013. So for me, this didn't make my list just because 530 is still relatively high for me, for my standards for when I was doing this. I'm just going to throw my games on the floor. Caper. It's a 2-player game. Really love this game. Have you played Caper?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome game. Ranked 2,458 in 2018 game. You're basically playing spies or thieves, stealing stuff from different famous, London, the Louvre, etc. Really like it, but just didn't make the cut.
I'll do a little injection. So if you go back and listen to our podcast, I want to say it was episode 164 or maybe 165, the esteemed Mr. Jude, Matthew Jude, who talked about the new version, Caper Europe, which you got a chance to play that's coming to Kickstarter.
Oh, cool. This game really almost made the list. Draftosaurus. This was a great convention, right? Like when I kind of picked this up at a convention, started playing it. It was easy to play on a small table. Again, ranked 618, so kind of approaching that top 500. I think this should be ranked higher. It was done in 2019, so again, these dates are BGG dates, so I don't know like if this was at Gen Con at the end of 18, whatever. But I do really like this game. Probably my favorite dinosaur game, even though Duelosaur Island and all that stuff exists.
That's my favorite one.
This
Duelosaur
plays
Island.
so quickly. It's so much fun. This one did not make my list because it's ranked way higher than I thought.
It's a great game.
Undaunted Normandy. I think there's another version out for another
North Africa.
North Africa.
And then they're making one in the Pacific.
Yeah. This game is amazing. If you like,
hold them up.
Oh, sorry, I don't know where we are here.
You don't have to hold it that close.
Kind of a deck builder and deconstructor with 20 scenarios where you're U.S. versus Allied forces versus Axis forces, and you're doing different battles, and it's just a lot of fun. But it's ranked 219.
Yeah,
much higher than I thought.
This game is phenomenal. The one thing I've always said is scenarios 1 through like 4-ish are very basic. When you
correct.
So like if you're looking for like 5 through 10, really dig in. The other thing is you roll a D10 to hit, and you hit like on an 8, 9, 10.
Right.
So you got to be ready for single rolls, miss, 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 miss. But it's just that.
But that works
fits
with
the themes.
Well, it also
so
works
well.
with the deck building piece, right? Yeah. Because like one of them is I have to kill all your machine gunners or whatever, and if they were too easy to kill, the game would be over. So like you're buying new ones to add to your deck, but there's a limited supply, and then when I kill one, it doesn't go off the board. You lose it in your deck or your hand or your discard pile, and when you have no cards to lose, then it comes off the board. Just a great. The mechanics of this are awesome, but again, ranked too high.
I realize we got to keep it snappy because we got a lot of games.
I know.
To go
Steamrollers, 2,251.
Look at BJ, and we got to Fleet the Dice game yet. It was in my honorable mention.
It was in his honorable mention.
Good to see you, BJ.
This was just a fun little, roll and writer that I really liked.
Yes.
No,
that's great
to say about it, but
I just want to make sure we talk about the 20 games we actually came to talk about.
Inuit.
That's an interesting game.
Yeah, it doesn't get a lot of.
I played it with 2 and it lost something for me.
3 and 4 is where this needs to go. It's an engine builder. A lot of fun. This one I think is an amazing game. Amazing. Yep. Ranked way higher than I thought, and I didn't think people knew about it because it's back from 2010. Alien Frontiers, dice worker placement game. Lot of fun. Still in production, I believe. I know it's available. It's on the shelves in the store.
Yeah, this one's claim to fame is it was like the first Kickstarter game. So people know a lot about this. But yeah, it's interesting, the ranking.
Last one. No, 2 more. Dragon Castle. Have you played this?
Yeah, I don't like this game.
Oh, my God. Brandt, shame
it's too
on you.
just...
Ranked 581.
Build.
It's very Mahjong-like.
Yeah.
But with some victory points. Silas and I really enjoy that. Last 2... The Godfather, ranked 333. This game is amazing.
That game is so well known.
Do you really think it is?
It totally is.
I don't think so. I think people.
It doesn't get a lot of love, but it's
I think people see it and go, "Simon."
It's Eric Lang.
Not a lot of
minis.
minis. I just think they overlook it. This game is amazing, and it's ranked 333. I think you take a shot at.
But it's a good call. I mean, in terms of
last one, and then we get to our list. This should have been on my list, but I just. It's the reason this
game's
is
so good.
It's ranked 1,098. I just don't know how it's ranked that low.
Yeah.
This game's
we cruised a little fast because I realized if we sit around and talk about the honorable mentions, we won't get in the list. So we're going to get into the list. We like to do these live, so we want to interact with the chat in terms of all that. So please put things in there. If you're watching
Board Game Gumbo loves Dragon Castle.
Throwing,
Thank you very much.
And no theming in Godfather.
No they lay in the river when you kill them. Come on, they sleep with the fish.
So yeah, definitely throw us comments if there's other games that you're thinking of. That we didn't think of, but I think we should, without further ado, jump into the list. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first because it's right here.
All right.
Ruthless. It's right in my pirate theme. I love anything that's pirate themed, but this is ranked 3,730, done in 2018. This game, I love this game because you can't like alpha game it or overbuild it. Like you can't. As you're playing crew members, you're triggering abilities. You're trying to have a better crew than your opponent's crew when you go do a mission or whatever they're called in here, like go onto shore. And certain things cancel. I think it's almost like they have value. So like a quartermaster will have a value of, there'll be a jack one, there'll be a queen one, whatever, right? But then my opponent, I got to look at what my opponent's playing. When I'm playing, I could choose not to go on shore this turn. It just plays really well. It's very take that. So you would not love this.
No, I'm not against take that.
But very take that.
And you know what it is? It's area majority. And you know who doesn't like area majority? Mr. Board Game Gumbo
Board
right
Game.
there. We actually talked about that on the podcast. See, I can plug all these podcasts. BJ was the most recent one, but I think it's 167. Gumbo-rific. So,
Nice.
yeah, but we are not area
But
majority fans.
I think because of its rating, this made it to my top 10 because I thought it should be higher than 37,
Nice.
30. Theme's great. Art's great. I like the style of the game. It works with some groups. And you might have missed it.
There you go. Game you might have missed. Go back and play it. So I started with a family game as my first game. So I have some as I kind of work down my list. So I think they get more, I don't know, gamer or whatever. More people are going to like them. So the first one that in fact, this wasn't even on my list till I was packing up games. And then I saw this game on my shelf and I was like, oh my goodness. This is T-Dragon Society card game. They actually made another one that kind of looks like an autumn cover. This is the lightest deck building game you'll ever play.
Though.
This game is so good. I could play this with gamers and have fun.
What's it ranked?
It's really, really good. I don't know. I apologize that I didn't write all those. It's amazing to me that you were more detailed than me.
Well, I'm just wondering only
You got
because
super into it.
I different reasons than you because of Comic-Con and that. So like this is a book, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And like Silas is into these books, his kids are into these books. So I kind of knew about this game from the book end. So I just thought this was more well known maybe than it is because I've played it. I think it's great.
But like,
however, I don't own it.
Yeah,
It's
but
too light
like,
for me.
well, how do I always forget the Dungeons and Dragons worker placement game?
Tyrants of the Underdark.
No, the worker placement.
Oh, Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep.
So just like Lords of Waterdeep, where the simplicity is what makes the game good, the simplicity of this deck building, what makes this game good. You just draw a card. You don't even have a hand. You just draw a card and add it to your tableau, and then, it tells you what you're going to do. And then you can discard a bunch of cards to buy cards from the center, and it's like you go through spring, summer, and fall, and then at the end of that, you just tally up your points and see for winter who wins the game. Phenomenal, phenomenal game. Highly suggest it. I'd say it's going to be better if you play with families or you play welcoming games or somebody that knows this novel is probably going to be where it's at. But I would totally sit down and teach this to somebody at con if they're like, oh, I'd love to try to learn that game. Great, great game.
So here we go. My number 9 is ranked 9,022.
It's terrible.
So
Junk.
Here's my thing. For those that don't know, Brandt knows this. My other game group really knows this. I hate push your luck games.
Mm-hmm.
Pure zombie and another zombie, you're out. And you're putting the gems, and if whoever stays
like
in.
zombie dice or something?
No. It's like Wicked Pie. It's like a dungeon crawl. Like you flip over whether you have the lantern, the torch, you're staying in the dungeon, or you're coming out, and you just line up. You might get 15 gems that you split, 14 gems.
Oh, yeah.
And then if 2 of the spiders get flipped, you bust, right?
Yeah, I cannot
It's
think of the name
random
of it.
luck, right?
Yeah.
Just random luck. So I don't like push your luck games. This is a push your luck game. Its only drawback typically for me is the theme. I'm not a huge Cthulhu theme guy. However, the Cthulhu theme in this does not present. It presents more like a magic theme, more like a school theme. So I think this is the best push your luck game, and many people don't know about it, ranked 9,022, Miskatonic University. The reason, and I did teach you this, you did play this, and if you look at the cards,
Yeah,
you'll kind of remember.
Familiar.
The reason I like this is because you have your people cards, for lack of a better word,
People cards.
that give you, I'm going to find one here in a second, that give you abilities to mitigate push your luck. And when you use that ability, you flip it. Now, if you do something good later on, you could get that ability back. You have like 9 abilities. So that's what makes this game so great for me, is that it's pushing your luck on 3 different boards. You have 3 different things you're doing in this game. So you could bust on any one of those 3. But like I said, you have like 9 ability cards. Everyone has the same ability cards that allow you to mitigate that push your luck. And that, for me, makes this my favorite push your luck game by, was this Knizia? Yeah, this is Knizia.
Nice.
Miskatonic University.
Who's the publisher? Because I realize we haven't said publishers on our games.
Chaosium Inc. Is
Okay.
that something?
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, because sometimes there's companies that own companies, but
Yeah, mine was Renegade.
yeah, but ranked
Oni Press.
9,022. Yes, Larry is talking about Ink and Gold. Everybody loves Ink and Gold.
That is the one.
I hate it. I would burn it in a dumpster
I play that
fire.
with my classes because it's
I
so
would
easy to play.
burn it in a dumpster fire.
Gotcha.
We might as well just roll dice and see who rolls
All right.
higher.
So next up for me, because I have to go get all the games, which I think is super fun. So people love Root, right? They love Root. Root is a huge game, and
You put
so
a coin game.
so I think that the next, well, again, it's niche, right? I went from family to coin, Cuba Libre. So I get what you're saying in terms of that. So I think this is going to not be a game that everybody likes. But if you played Root and you like Root, this is your entry to coin games. Because really, Root is a basic coin game, right? Yep. It's a basic coin game. It's got other mechanisms. I'm not saying, it's whatever. So, but Cuba Libre, and you've played this with me, this is just your perfect entry. It's a 2-hour coin game. You've got the 4 powers. 2 and 2 are kind of working together. You learn the card flips. It's a phenomenal experience. You can play your first game. You can lose and still have fun in this game.
I would say I don't think I've played a GMT game I don't like.
Oh, wow.
And maybe I haven't played enough of them, but I own a lot of them and I've played a lot of them.
Gotcha.
Really, I just think they do really good games in this ilk.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing is by the time you learn a GMT game, you probably want to play it.
Right, but here's the thing. I'm spoiled. I don't learn any games.
Yeah, that's true.
Brandt comes to me and says, here's a game I'm going to teach you.
So by the time I've learned the game. But anyway, so yeah, this one's phenomenal. This to me, this was close. This is like 507, 504 on BGG. So to me, that was up there. I was trying to stay outside 500. But again, with the popularity of Root, and then, so this is that next level from Root. And I'm not even saying Root is an entry game. It's not an entry level game, right?
I don't think
so once you get Root down, you want that. And then to get the variety with coin games where it's a little trickier is instead of buying more factions like you can in Root, you're buying new versions of the games.
Correct.
Because I think now there's like 12 of these or something.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot of coin games. And they're tricky because they vary in length and player count. Like there's a 2-player coin game. And it can all be played solo, which is interesting.
But what I love about these, and I don't think people are going to be able to see this, but what GMT does on a lot of their games, you can see that little chart on the bottom. They give you a rating of, solitaire and then complexity, like low, medium, high, and they got a 9-point gauge. And they consider this a 5, dead middle, medium complexity, which for us, that's fair. But I think for a new gamer, they would think of this as a 12. They would be off the chart, right?
This would be tricky in terms of, and it's funny because the basic, like draw a card, pick who gets to go next, choose an action, that's easy. But then it's all the little tokens and everything that do everything. But that, to me, again, I'm kind of counting down, so that one isn't the most, everybody. But I really, really like Cuba Libre. I think that's a game that people should go back and play. If you're ever like, oh, I should try a coin game, that's the one to try. Other people are going to pick them by theme, like Pendragon, and there's the Gandhi one, and the Falling Stars. Like all those are awesome, but you got to realize like some of those are 6 to 8 hours.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say, oh, you should go back and play. I mean, I would tell people they should play Twilight Imperium at least once.
Some of them you should have your doctorate in something.
Exactly.
So I think at 5 maybe we'll start rolling a die to see who goes first. But for now, I'll just keep going first.
We don't have dice.
Well, I mean, we're in a store. So my number 8 is, again, I want to get mad. It's ranked 7,005. So you see I'm much different than Brandt. I'm not in that 500 range. I'm in the thousands. I want to find games that no one's talking about. It's another Grandpa. I love, for those of you who don't know, Grandpa Bet Games. Great independent, company. They put out a lot of good family weight games, and this is a family weight game that I love playing. Little tile laying game called The Bears and the Bees. And this game just, everybody, I think I've played it a dozen times now. Everybody I've played it with has had a blast playing it. It plays quick. I think they put it out in 2018. Have you played it?
Oh, I played it, yeah.
So again, I don't understand why it's ranked 7,000. And again, I didn't know about Grandpa Bet Games until someone introduced me to Skull King, which is, like I said, is my favorite trick-taking game. And then I saw them meet them. I bought all their games, and I played them all. And this was probably not their best game, but it's I think it's ranked so low, it's not well known. Cover Your Kingdom and Cover Your Assets, and those are more well-known games by them. As is Skull King being ranked 500,
I agree on your assessment of this game is really low, and I feel like it should be much, much higher. Yeah. But to me, that's just
it's a good game.
Like, I would be happy to play that game. And it's so short.
Right. And
we could play it while we're waiting for somebody to go get food at something.
Right. And at a $15 price point.
Right.
Anybody can run right out now, buy this.
But to me, it's not an amazing game that, like, if this went out of print, I would. Again, I don't want to out of print for the price, but out of print in terms of should I track it down if it's not readily available. But again, any of these
So
things
I
that
gotta
get to
tell
the
you,
higher
amazing
price.
games nowadays are. I've played so many. I don't know anymore.
Well, then listen to my list.
What makes an amazing game? Well,
Apparently they're
games?
Apparently they're $10 on the rack out here.
Because your amazing game I put on sale for
Yeah,
$10.
you did. Yeah, you did.
It's tough. Everybody has different feelings about
Totally.
it.
Again, the fun of these top 10 lists is that you can go back and be like, oh, okay, I've heard people. What I always tell people is if I hear somebody say a game is great, I want to go play it. If it's one person, I mean, I guess I might have a handful of reviewers that I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I just am not in their same taste. But since I tend to be more of an Omni gamer, so hopefully this gives people that kind of thing. All right, are we on number 8?
We're on number 8.
All right, so this is my one out of print game that I feel a little bit bad about, but I love Heroes of Terranoth. So this is from the Sadler Brothers. And we played this at a Gen Con. We got to sit down, and it's like you get 4 cards. You get a hero and 4 cards, and you could be the warrior, but there's like 2 different warriors. And then you get your cards, and when you level up, you can pick, am I going to go like the Berserker path, or am I going to go like the Protector path? And you can do is exhaust your card, and it tells you what you do, and you get tokens, and you roll dice. What I love about the dice is there's like 1 miss, and everything else is a hit or a exploding die.
Right.
So it's not really about missing. And I think even miss is like you block some of the damage coming at you. So it's really simple on that front. You can kind of figure out what you're doing, and then one of your cards resets all of your cards. I love this game. It's very setting. This is not in print anymore. This is a re-implementation of Warhammer Quest,
Right.
which got put out of print. I don't know. I'm sorry. I think it was like 800.
Okay.
I did at one point write them all down because I was going to do this list like 2 months ago without you, and I never got to it, so now I don't know what they all are. So I apologize. But anyway, so this would be tricky. I'm imagining if you go look this up, this was probably a $50 game when it came out, $40 in this box, and it probably now runs $80 to $100. So by that criteria, I wouldn't put on the list as much. But there are other ways to play this. And Sadler game, they have a lot with Blacklist now, like Street Masters and Altar Quest, which I think is wonderful. Although Altar Quest, you got to be careful of playing with more than 2 people on the first game.
Yeah.
In terms of that. But this is still like one of my favorites of theirs, Heroes of Terranoth. Co-op game, really fun. Tons of replayability in this box. There's like 8, 12 scenarios. There's 4 different heroes you can play as. You can play as 2 heroes pretty easily. It's not like an overwhelming play as 2 heroes. And each type of hero has 2. So
yeah, I mean, I liked it. For me, it's very limiting with all the amount of co-ops out there, right? Like it was fun. It was, I think, better than Quest.
Sure. It's so similar that
Right. 7?
Yep.
I am going to make the bold statement starting at number 7, based on what you said. My games are a minute game at Piedmont's. I don't think I've ever seen it go longer than 30, regardless of player count. Did you teach this to me? I feel like you did.
Yeah. No, that's a phenomenal game. Sorry, I'm just checking because for some reason our frame rate's down.
Uh-oh.
And we're all choppy on there, so hopefully we're good now.
I don't know what frame rate even means.
Yeah.
But Piedmont's is my number 7, and I put this in the amazing category. Go buy it if you haven't played it, or go play it, then buy it. You won't be disappointed.
Nice. We are connected here and everything, but suddenly we are just
slow
dropping out. Yeah, that happened to us like 4 months ago.
Huh.
Time. All right, hopefully we're pretty good, so people have to let us know. I saw it slowing down when I jumped on here, but maybe it's just us. I totally agree. That game is amazing. That game is so good, and possibly one I should have put on my list.
But do you agree, though, that it's probably one people missed? Like, I don't know that.
Absolutely.
Especially when they're in those small boxes. I don't know that people get excited when they see, like, a small $20, $15 game. But
what are they?
Sometimes there's hidden gems in those $15 boxes, those small boxes.
What do they always say about the games? Notoriously mathy or something is what they say. And it is that, right? Like, you're trying to figure out how to get those combos going. They're so good at, like, you put a card here, and you do this math plus that math, right? And so every decision is 2 decisions. That's what they're really good at.
Right.
Yeah, because that's there. Awesome. All right, so my next game is one that people have heard of, but for whatever reason, it's just not ranked super high, and it's Jump Drive.
It's a good game.
So this one I put on there because this is the lightest. There's New Frontiers and Race for the Galaxy, which is obviously the most famous one. But this completely has a space. Like, if you play Race for the Galaxy all the time, to me, this game has a place. This is so fast. This is a best-of-3 type game. I have played this game with Brian silently in 7 minutes.
Didn't we play this
in the car?
Hotel? Didn't we also play this in the hotel at PAX?
Oh yeah, we
Or
might
the
have. Yeah,
Airbnb,
whatever it
and we
is.
played it
Yeah,
pretty quickly.
we played it in the car on the way to Gen Con one time,
Yes.
just on our knees or whatever
Yeah,
it
this
was.
game's great.
But Jump Drive is amazing. So don't sleep on this one and think, oh, I already have Race for the Galaxy. It's just gonna be like this is really light, really fast, but gives you that feel in a good way. Like in a way, generally if you're playing Race for the Galaxy a lot, I understand you're gonna play that more often. But I think this is a great one. Like I said, you could play a best of 3, and it's like 20 minutes to do that. So really, really like Jump Drive. This was 700 something on there. So
700 something.
Yeah.
So my
Jump
next
Drive.
game is at number 6, my highest rated game I picked at 431. And arguably it's somewhat known because it's 2012, so it's old.
Okay.
Still in print, ranked 431, but I just don't see a lot going on with it. I think it gets overlooked. And I will say this, my favorite pirate game. Hands down, because I can get it to the table at any moment and play it with anybody. There are other more complex pirate games that require, planning, and not everyone wants to play. But Libertalia by Paulo Mori.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite pirate game, 2012, only ranked 431. The best way I can describe this is you're going for victory points by creating your crew. What I love about the game is everybody has the same 30 crew members in a deck. And at the beginning of the game, one player randomly picks the first 9 that are going to be used. And then everyone goes and gets their version of that 9. Right. And that's where the game gets so interesting. So we know the 9 that are in the game. And then, is he going to play the quartermaster when I play the quartermaster? Because my quartermaster is a lower rating than yours, so yours will go first, right? Like it's just that first in, last out kind of, and I just love it. Everybody I've played it with has had a blast with it, and I love that about it, that we set the arena, right? So we have this 30 to choose from. One player randomly or chooses the 9, and then everybody else gets those same 9, and we go. I think 9 is what you start, but then I think you add a few more. I think by the end of the game, you go through 15 or 18 of the 30.
Right, yeah, there's like another round or something in terms of I haven't played that in a while. That is a fun game, though.
It is, and it's one I just think that gets overlooked, maybe because of its age.
Yeah.
It hasn't had a reprint or a redo.
That one's funny to me, though, because when people talk about their favorite pirate games, I'm talking, again, like YouTube, podcast world, they mention Merchant Marauders and Libertalia all the time. So, again, at that ranking and that age of that game, it makes sense, but it's one of those ones I feel like I hear a lot about in terms of all that. So, awesome. All right, next up for me is going to be a game. Now, I put this one next, even though I kind of like it more than the others, because this is one where I still think this game is amazing, but often I teach it or play it with other people, and they tell me, like, yeah, it was good, it was fun, I would totally play again, but they don't seem to be as enamored as I am. And this is Catalyst. So your friend Chris taught us this at Gen Con.
Yeah,
and
Chris
then I
really likes
immediately went and picked up this game. What I love about this is it does something that I really like in engine. So you build an engine and then you tear it down. And then you build an engine and you tear it down. Because you're collecting people, you're drafting people that are catalysts, and they have abilities, but to trigger their abilities, you have to discard them. But then you can score them. If they're still in play, you don't score them at the end of the game.
Correct.
And you're just drafting and creating like an engine that you can then use with all their abilities and discard them all. So you're trying to build up an engine and go from there. And every time you play, there's like 4 different colors, so you can get the different like buildings from each color, which give you abilities, and you can put the people in buildings, and then like, I trigger this one, so then I trigger that build. I love this game so much.
Can I give you a hard time?
Yeah.
I like this game. You consider this amazing.
I consider this game amazing.
I'm impressed. I consider it good.
Right. No, that's going to be
and
a
that's
big part
what we,
of it.
yeah,
for sure. But this is one I would encourage people, because again, if this sounds like something you're looking for a 45-minute, it says 20 to 40 minutes on it, which seems a little shorter. I think of it as 45 minutes.
I think this would have hit harder home for me if it had a theme.
There isn't much of a theme. I'll give you that.
A solid theme.
Straight on that
engine. Because mechanically, it's a great game. Like it has some really good things that happen, but I'm just playing for points. Like it's one of those games.
Arguably, think Splendor.
Yeah.
Right. Like there just isn't a theme. It's just all about your engine build.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to play a lot like that. I'll give you that. The theme is like there, I guess. I mean, it's not bad to say these people are catalysts, but it doesn't really do much. So.
Top 5.
All right. We're rolling dice. I don't even know what we're rolling for.
High.
People also can't see.
High.
6.
All right, so I got to go.
All right.
My number 5 is my second highest ranked game at 489. I love this game, and I just don't play it enough. I'll be playing it on my trip in May. Hadara by Z-Man Games. This came out in 2019.
It's warm.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten some love from me. This is Benjamin Schwind. What's the best way to describe this game, Brandt? You taught it to me. You're better at describing these things because I love the face-up piles.
It's a Civ game, but it's really a card drafting game.
But the drafting, it's a way you draft in this game that I think is
It's very interesting. Yeah, it's like you get 2 cards, and then you have to put one on the draft pile, and you keep one.
Right. And
then in the second half of the round, you can go and draft the cards off the top of the pile.
Correct. I love that mechanism. Again, theme is theme. It's ancient civilizations, and you're building your civilization.
It's a Civ game in the most boring of ways, for lack of a better, because it's really an engine.
But I think this is a great game. This is one of those, like, to me, midweight. I would say this is close, if not a gateway card drafting game for people. I prefer it to Seven Wonders for drafting. That's me. I know Seven Wonders is ranked higher and much more popular.
I haven't played Seven Wonders in so long.
But I always choose this over Seven Wonders when I
Where I wouldn't prefer it, but it's not even fair, other than if you want to include the app, is Through the Ages. Because you could play a Through the Ages game in the same, on the app, in the same. Through the Ages in person would be 3 hours, so that's not a fair comparison. But it's that same card drafting. In terms of all that. But yeah, I like that one a lot, although I almost put a Benjamin Schwer game on the list, which is Crown of Amara. I love
But that one, to me, see, now that's one I knew was popular, or at least because I heard about it.
I don't think it is very popular.
But see, that's what's because I heard about it at convention, so that's where I kind of was like, oh, people must know about this because I know about it.
Yeah.
Because if I know about it, everybody's got to know about it because
There you go.
But
nice. All right, so I'm doing my number 5. So my number 5, I found out similar from other people talking about this. So I found this game out from the Geek All-Stars podcast. And Dan and Chris talked about this game forever, and I tried to track it down at conventions.
Not that one. Okay.
And they didn't have it. And I finally was able to get a copy, and Larry and I played this over the summer with Kathy.
Bless you.
Excuse me. And this is Pioneers. So this is, you're going out west and you're collecting all these tokens and you're putting people on your wagons and trying to drop them off at various places. It's so clever. The board is going to make you think Ticket to Ride because you're kind of dropping people off. You're triggering all these actions. I love this game. This game is so good. There's one part that's missing, which is you can get a couple action upgrades, and I wish like every action had an upgrade. Then it would just catapult into like one of my favorite games of all time. But this game is really good. I totally think it's one of those Queen games. I mean, Queen games got so many popular games, obviously. But to me, this is better than a lot of their even bigger, heavier style games.
Well, it's funny. I had a few Queen games I was looking at, and I immediately thought if it's a Queen game, people know about it, right? Like, and not because they necessarily know about Pioneers, but it's just you see the yellow box, you see the Queen logo, and you just kind of think, oh, it's a good game. Right. So I don't. For me. What's mine? Oh, Kingdom Builder.
Okay.
I love Kingdom Builder, but I think did it win a Spiel years ago, or at least get nominated for a Spiel?
I think it did win the Spiel.
So I can't, I'm sure it's ranked high, you know, but again, that's when people might overlook some of Queen's games because they go, oh, it's just another Queen game.
Right.
But this one was really good.
Well, and the thing is, this got on the nominated, when they do the Spiel, they pick like 3 that are up for it, and then they give like a mentions list or a recommended list, I think is what it's called. And this was put on the recommended list. It's 2017, so it was either 2017 or 2018 because Spiel wraps around a year. I can't remember which it was, so Spiel to Art. But yeah, I absolutely love this game. Oh, look, it has the symbol here. It was on the recommended list for Spiel 2018.
I bet it goes on the back and not the front. Right?
Yeah, for whatever it is. But yeah, this is a really fun. Again, it's probably a little more family weight, but it's going to appeal. I mean, we played it with 3 gamers, whatever.
I
that
might
term
actually
means.
have to borrow that for my trip to.
It's phenomenal. It's a really, and it fits right in that. And it's 45 minutes. Yeah. You know, it's not too long, and it's got like just enough complication to the rules and the strategy. So there's that. Are we on 4? Are we rolling again?
Dice are ready.
All right. Easy game. 3. 12.
I'd laugh if I got a 12. 8. I lose. I got to go first again. I hope I get it for number 1. My number 4. I am going to say this is an amazing game. And I think this game falls into that lost realm of COVID. It's a 2020 release. It's ranked 3,635. I just don't understand how it's ranked that low. I mean, this game would probably be in my top 100 if I made a top 100 list. I love it. From Formal Ferret Games, High Rise. And I don't see it on the stream, but I'm sure someone's getting it at some point.
Yeah,
This
we're
brand's
having
doing
issues.
some
I don't
stuff.
know what's happening.
Oh, there I am. There it is.
Well, we're going to hope that this is working.
High Rise. What do you want to say about it, Brandt?
Oh, this game is so good.
See, I love when I say it and then he says it. It makes me feel like I picked good.
Yeah. I actually felt bad that I didn't put this in my top 10 of 2020 because it really should have been there.
I think, was it in my top 10 for 2020? I felt like
it was. I think you and Brian had it in there, and maybe I just didn't trying to talk about different games.
Yeah.
But it totally should have been. This game is so good.
And again,
So
I think
clever.
this falls into that, this would have been great at conventions. People would have walked by, seen these tall buildings, seen extensions on those buildings, seen people thinking while moving things around a board. So I don't know why it's ranked so low, but I think it's.
It hasn't. I mean, this is just from last year, so this just hasn't had
2020.
enough time to sit out there and whatnot. Yeah, it's interesting because it's like you're supposed to play 3 rounds, but the introductory game teaches you to play 2 rounds, which is really plenty enough. It's almost like 3 rounds should be the extended game, like when you really
advanced
because
game,
it's or whatever. But there's just so many good decisions. It's one of those games where you can take corruption. And corruption, is a good thing to a point, right? It's like, oh, I can take so much corruption. It's like
isn't there a card too that'll
Merchant's
give you
Cove where you can do that too,
and they'll give you some points for corruption, right? A certain card, like you can get a card,
or you can get it back,
or you convert it,
yeah. It's just phenomenal. It's that whole whatever that rondelle where you go around, and then the next person gets to go or whatever.
I didn't realize this was Gilhova.
Yeah, and it's it's that whole thing, but it's got these sections, so you can only pick one per section, and that just, I mean, I don't know that that's like incredibly innovative, but it's innovative.
Well, and I also like,
before.
Area control, not really, but it has that.
It's so
some
minor,
victory points in tallest building in this section, most buildings in this section, etc. It works so well.
And see, that's an area majority that doesn't bother me because it's pretty clear cut. Like, I know you're going to build a building and replace one of my buildings to come in the league. The question is, it's not one of these things where it's like 7 buildings or something, and I'm going to be cut out of all my points. I'm probably going to get points even if I don't end up at tallest. Or I know, hey, here's where I want to try to push to be over. Like, if I can get a 12 height, and you're only at a 6, you really got to push to get above mine. So maybe that'll be a benefit. That one doesn't bother me because it's very like Euro in its construction to get there. It's not at any moment somebody could completely overcome my building, And even if you do, I'm still second.
Right, exactly.
In terms of that. All right.
So that was my number 4.
I missed one on my list. But
that's the one I started laughing at because I really like this game, but I think this is another one I put up for sale. Not because I don't like it, because I just played it so much. There's nothing left for me to do with it.
So this is the weirdest game. This is Kashgar, Merchants of the Silk Road, Grail Games and Cosmos. So what's so weird is that this game says it's 60 minutes. I've never played this game for 60 minutes. Yeah. It's one of those weird ones where for whatever reason they must have decided 60 minutes. I don't know how to play this game for 60 minutes. Even with 4 people, I don't think this game could be 60. This is a 2-player, 25-minute game. First time you play it, it might push 40, so I guess maybe it might be 6 minutes with 4 people. But it's really neat in that you're lining up all the cards and then you're taking one of the actions on the top and moving it to the back of the pile.
It's a deck builder without a hand, right?
Like exactly. And you're adding cards and then you're just kind of controlling a market over here to cash in for. I mean, it's so straightforward.
It's really good.
But like those choices are just so interesting and. Not really trying to be in the lead, but it's like Century Spice Road. You're trying to be the person who can get that. That's exactly the vein this is in, Century Spice Road.
I will say this is easily a game people would have missed because there's nothing that stands out about it. It's kind of dull looking when you look at it.
It has the wrong time on the box.
But it just nothing about it stands out. And then when you play it, you go, wow, this is clever. This is fun. Ooh, next time I want to try, and I'm sure you've tried it. Have you tried never doing one? Like, if you tried doing 2 big ones and one with just 2, so you can always trigger? Because I've done that, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah, there's different things you can do because you can remove some from a pile and then leave it.
Right.
Yeah,
and then you can add a pile, so you can have 4 rows, right? But I think it's so much fun. But
you shuffle at the start and get different cards. So, like, that's a great, like, I know Kathy and Brian especially are into games where they give you some, like Agricola says, here's your starting hand. Here's your starting card. So now you're like, oh, I know what my cards are telling me to do. I'm not doing the thing I always think is good in every game.
Right, and I got rid of this only because there was nothing like the card pool is like if this had an expansion, I'd be so excited because that'd be another.
It does have an expansion. There's 12 cutthroat expansion games in the box.
Beyond this, there's just you play this 3-4 times and you've gone through all the cards. You know what you're looking for. I've probably played this 10 or 12 times, so it's like. Now it's just I'm hunting like, oh, I want to try. I want this card based on where I am right now.
Yeah, I guess I don't feel that way because there's like 12 starting cards. So you start in a different spot and then you flip a big deck of cards. I would agree with you on the like what you can cash in for gets pretty similar. But, I mean,
it's a good game.
Each their own. Cash card. Right. Have we agreed? Oh, High Rise was the one we both agreed was like an amazing game.
I think we've agreed on a few. Pete Motts.
All right. Oh, yeah, Pete Motts.
Pete Motts.
All right, here we go. I don't know why we're rolling for all these.
7.
Hey, I have to go first.
You have to go first.
All right, well, this one we will agree on because this is probably the game on my list that you like the most, and we love this game, and this game is way underrated. Batman, the animated series, Gotham City Under Siege by Richard Launius, IDW. This game is phenomenal. We live streamed this on a day. Sure. We did this at like 6 a.m. Did we do Rebellion and then we played this, I think? We did a 24-hour stream or whatever. It was a 15-hour stream. And we played this game. If you could find that one and go back. This is such a good Batman-themed game. I mean, the Batman theme comes out. You're rolling dice, but it's one of those ones where you have a pool of dice, like 4 or 5 dice. You roll and you pick one die. And everybody picks one. And then you roll again and pick one die. So you constantly are getting actions of what you want to do. You definitely come down to that turn where it's like, well, should I put a 5 here and then hope to roll a 5 or a 6? And you're like, yeah, and then you don't. But at least you knew the choice you were making. You were pushing your luck. Abilities, dice manipulation.
And you're never fully
every
in
round
control,
you're getting new cards. You're never in control.
You feel like you're doing good, but then you just let one thing go and a building explodes and you have that track. So many citizens die, you lose. So many buildings blow up, you lose. So you're balancing where I think I could lose or win. And then in the last phase, you have to beat the card or you lose.
Yep.
So you have a couple of different.
Yeah, you play like acts, like 4 acts.